guys, welcome back to my Hey guys, welcome back to my Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about why It the remake was much miles better than the original. So let's get into it. So It the remake came out in 2017, and it's a remake of the 90s like two movie TV show It. And I think a lot of people were skeptical about a remake because, one, the original is the reason we were all afraid of clowns. I will give the original that. Tim Curry did an amazing job. I was terrified of clowns growing up. Up until like my 20s, I was just like, I don't do clowns. I still don't do clowns because the original It just like scared the crap out of me. So that's what the original had going for it. It was just creepy. As a child watching that, you were just like, oh my God. I do not like clowns. This is the creepiest shit ever. Now watching the original, it is so cheesy and it just looks so cartoonish. You're like, I was scared of this. It's amazing to go back and watch all the horror films you used to be afraid of and watch them now. And you're just like, I was afraid of this. I used to be afraid of The Ring, and now watching that, I'm like, this is the dumbest shit ever. But I still don't like staticky TVs because of The Ring. So, the original, it did that for me. It terrified me as a child so much that I hated clowns, and I still don't like clowns. And it instilled that fear of just like clowns and balloons popping. I don't like to hear balloons pop. I don't like clowns outside of Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise. Now jump to 2017, and I love Pennywise. I love Pennywise. And I think that's due, in fact, to the performance done by Bill Skarsgård, Alexander Skarsgård's little brother. And I just think he knocks it out of the park. I think he, pays homage to Tim Curry in a respectful way, but he definitely makes it his own character. And he's so much creepier as a clown. It's more, I feel like Tim Curry's It was very, almost like borderline silly. You know what I mean? It was a little cheesy, a little silly, definitely creepy. And then you have Bill Skarsgård's It, Pennywise, who's very creepy, and it's just method acting. It's just they're different It's, They're both creepy, but Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise is just a lot stronger, which is why when they remade it and the film came out, it did so well, just because his acting alone and his portrayal as Pennywise was super strong. Now, putting that aside, the movie was very successful because of the kid actors and their relationships and their dialogue and just how natural it seemed. And then you put those two together in a big old mashing pot, and of course you're going to have a smash. What else can you say? This movie, the remake, is just miles better than the original. And I like the original. We all respect the original, but the remake is just better. Bill Skarsgård was born to play Pennywise, and because of him playing Pennywise, I'm in love with Pennywise as a character. I would love to see a backstory on him, but sometimes Hollywood gets these movies and they kind of overdo it, so I get why they haven't done a backstory movie. We kind of saw a little bit of that in It too, but just to see Bill Skarsgård play Pennywise again, I would love a backstory. His acting is insane. He's incredible. First of all, he's 6'12". He's probably 6'7", 6'5", but he's humongous, and he looks creepy out of his Pennywise costume. But he's that creepy, attractive white boy. You know what I mean? He's tall and isn't he Swedish? And he just looks creepy. But he's also a big teddy bear in real life. And those are the best actors to play creepy, psychotic roles, because they can draw you in and make you feel oh my God, you're Pennywise, but you're such a sweetheart in real life. I love Bill Skarsgård. I love Pennywise. And I love Pennywise because of Bill Skarsgård. I think you can't compare his performance to Tim Curry because it's just, they're two different times, two different people, two different actors, and they approach the role differently, but they both did their thing. And then we had It 2, which is the kids now adults. And I know a lot of people didn't like this one as much as the first one because of the dynamic with the adults. They said was forced and it didn't seem as natural. And that's why I think the director went back and put a lot of the flashback and kid scenes into to make it almost the same as one, because we loved the first one because we loved the kids' dynamic and it just seemed natural. So he made sure to bring those kid actors back and put it into the second one, so to add a little bit of that success. And I think that was a lot of people's favorite part, were the kids, the flashbacks, because the adults, I think, rub people the wrong way. There are some parts of the movie that seem a bit choppy and a bit cringe and seem a bit forced. But I did believe the relationships. They're supposed to be these people that forget each other after they leave Derry. They don't remember each other. So, of course, it's going to be awkward and forced, because when they come back, then everything starts hitting them. So I think they played it, I think, first of all, the casting, spot on. If you look at the child actors and then look at their adult counterparts, spot on. Whoever casted them needs to be on like every Hollywood movie ever, because they paid attention. Perfect casting, down to mannerisms, looks, everything. Second of all, like I said, they all went their separate ways in adulthood and they don't remember each other. So when they come back to Derry and remember each other, it's awkward, it's forced. It's like, hey, I knew you, I grew up there, you know? Like if you haven't talked to somebody in 16 years and then all of a sudden you're having dinner with them, it's not going to be natural at first. It's going to be a little bit weird, a little bit forced, and then you loosen up and you get comfortable with them again. So I think they did that right. I think it too lost a lot of people with the cringy monsters. Like the naked lady, I feel like when I saw that, I was like, super cringy. It just was so CGI and just, it looked cartoonish to me. It was almost funny. It couldn't be scary because it was funny to me. So I couldn't even take it seriously. I feel like if they would have did practical effects, it could have been a lot creepier, but I didn't take her seriously at all. I feel like they CGI'd Pennywise a lot more in this one too, and it just made it look a lot more silly. So I think that's what people were kind of disconnected with, the CGI monsters and the fact that there are no kids, that they're adults. So we'd already grown to love these kids and their dynamic, and then we had to kind of take that and force it on the adults, and it just didn't work all the way. I loved it too. I saw it twice. I think it's amazing, but I understand why people found that disconnect within the characters. It was also very emotional for me. I don't know. I'm a little bit of a crybaby now, because when you know who killed himself in the beginning of the movie, I cried like a baby. Even though I knew it was coming, I cried. When you know who died at the end, I cried. When he read the letter, I cried. So when people were like, how was it? Was it scary? I'm like, no, it was really emotional, because I just literally, between laughing, I was always crying, because I just found it to be more emotional, if anything. And I don't know if that's me reading too much into it or really seeing like the underlining of what the film is supposed to be about, or if I'm just a big crybaby. But I feel like there were a lot of underlining emotional themes that the director or the writer wanted us to feel. And maybe that's why I was so emotionally connected to it. Like, it was a horror film, and it's in the horror genre, and it's supposed to be a scary movie. But I feel like more than anything, you walked away feeling really kind of just like broken and sad for these characters, but happy for them that they left a lot of these traumas behind. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I'm kind of rambling, but I feel like I cannot be the only one who walked away from this movie feeling so emotional for these characters. It was an emotional experience. But I think it too was a good follow-up. If you look at some horror films and then their sequels, it's not a good follow-up. And I think even though it didn't do as well as the first remake, as the first It remake, it still did pretty well. And it wasn't as strong as the first It. But I think it still did extremely well. I still think it was very successful, and I still think it got across what it was trying to do. Excuse me. Was it perfect? No. If they would have took out that CGI and put practical effects, that would have took them up several notches. If they would have gave the adult actors more time to bond, I think that would have took it up several notches. But then, like I said, it was supposed to be forced and awkward in the beginning. So the movie is like 3 hours long originally or something like that, like the director's cut. So maybe if they didn't chop it up the way they did, it also wouldn't look so like wonky. You know what I mean? So I think it had a few things working against it, but had they fixed those few things in editing or reshoots, the movie could have been even more successful than the first, because Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise nailed it, sold the whole movie. That scene where he gets the little girl to trust him by using her insecurities to lure her in. I think a lot of people overlook how powerful that scene is, because she was smart. She was like, you're creepy, you're hiding in the dark, you're not my friend. But then he kind of wormed his way into her heart by getting her to trust him, by saying, you know, I have an insecurity. People make fun of me because I'm a clown or I look funny. And you have insecurity because you have that big ass birthmark on your face. We can bond. So then she trusted him and she felt bad for him and he bit her head off. And I think that scene was to show that Pennywise, in between stalking the losers, he was just a monster. Like, he didn't care. There was no soul there. There was no redeeming him. You know what I mean? And that was just a nice little flavor they threw in there to show us that he's just a monster. And he knows how to get kids to trust him. Even if they're the smartest kid in the world and they're like, you look creepy. You're hiding in the dark. I don't trust you. Because a lot of kids would do that, realistically. I know a lot of kids that are going to be like, that's scary. I don't like it. But when you get a kid to trust you in that way and they feel comfortable around you, that's what happens. You get your head bit off. So I know. It too had a lot of strong factors. It just suffered with the CGI and the choppiness and the loss of the kid actors. But, I don't know why we all expected so much of the kid actors when it's part 2 and they're adults. So I guess that's our own fault. If you take all of that out, if you take the fact that we were expecting the kid actors too much, it's actually a successful story. It does pretty well. But the fact that we were kind of craving that, like, kid engagement. I mean, we got it in flashbacks, and the flashbacks were very cute and very sweet. But yeah, I think we wanted too much out of that. If we would have just let that go, we would have been very happy with what we got. I was happy with what I got. I loved it. And it's funny that I'm doing this video right now, because look. But yeah, I like Pennywise. I love Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise. If they decide to do a backstory to how he became Pennywise, because I read some stuff on the internet that he is like, well, first of all, he's like this otherworld entity, and that he went to this village. The way he became one of his entities, or his Pennywise, is he went to this village and bargained with this lady for her child's life, and that's how he started eating children or some shit. I would love to see it. I think the audience would love to see it. We all would love to see it. So if they want to do that, like a little short film or something, like put on a DVD, the director's cut, which we're still waiting on. If they want to release a director's cut and add that, I'm not against it. I would love to see his backstory. I would love to see more Bill Skarsgård, just him alone as Pennywise. But I also don't want Hollywood to ruin it and turn shit, because they do that. Once they have one good film and a decent second film, they try to do a third one, it just goes downhill. Look at Divergent. Divergent started off strong and just kind of went. So do we really need Hollywood to touch Pennywise anymore? No. Am I opposed to it? No. Is it the remake better than the original? Yes. But do we still respect and love the original? Yes. Is Tim Curry the original and, the godfather of it, Pennywise? Yes. But do we like Bill Skarsgård more? Absolutely. So as always, guys, that is my take on It's the remake versus the original and all the little tidbits of It and It 2. If you guys like what you see here, like, comment, and subscribe and share. And I will see you guys again next time.